The scars behind his smile, when Yumenglong's pain became too heavy to hide. The world first knew Yumenglong as a man with the kind of smile that could light up an entire screen. It was the kind of smile that made fans believe in love stories, in second chances, in the beauty of simple moments. But what no one saw, what no one wanted to see, was that behind that same disarming smile, there were scars too deep, too personal, and too painful for even fame to cover. The brightness we admired wasn't born from happiness. It was born from someone trying his hardest to hide how broken he truly was. In the glittering chaos of fame, Yumenglong was always calm, always composed, the kind of person who seemed immune to the storms around him. He was gentle in interviews, humble with fans, and graceful under pressure. But the truth about people like him is that they rarely show their pain. They learn how to smile when it hurts, how to laugh when they want to cry, and how to keep giving light even when theirs is fading. For years, you carried that burden alone, trapped in a world that demanded perfection from him but gave him no space to be human. His death left an ache that words can barely describe. To many, it felt unreal, like the final act of a story no one was ready to see end. But to those who looked closer, there were signs, whispers, and moments that hinted at the storm inside him. The man who made millions believe in romance couldn't find peace in his own heart. The man who played characters full of hope had lost his own somewhere along the way. And when the curtain finally fell, it revealed a truth that shattered everyone. Yumenglong had been fighting battles none of us saw. Those who worked closely with him spoke of his kindness, his patience, his soft way of speaking. He never raised his voice, never complained, even when exhaustion showed in his eyes. They said he'd stay late on set, smiling through scenes even when his body was clearly tired. He never wanted to disappoint anyone. One crew member once said quietly, even when he was hurting, he smiled. That smile became his mask, a fragile shield that hid everything he couldn't say out loud. In an industry built on appearances, vulnerability can feel like weakness. You understood that better than anyone. Every public appearance, every fan meeting, every live performance was another layer of armor. He'd perfected the art of looking happy even when he wasn't. Fans adored his gentle charm, unaware of how much effort it took to maintain that image. Behind the bright lights, there were nights of silence, nights where he stared at the ceiling, wondering when it all became too heavy to bear. There were moments, captured in fleeting photographs and subtle expressions, when his smile didn't quite reach his eyes. Those who loved him noticed, but dismissed it because no one ever wants to believe their hero is suffering. Yet Yumenglong's sadness was there, hiding in plain sight, disguised as calmness. He gave love through his art, but received little of it in return. The pressure, the loneliness, the constant demand to be perfect, it all began to carve into him slowly, leaving invisible scars on a soul already fragile from years of pretending. In private, he was said to be reflective and quiet, someone who wrote down his thoughts when words failed him. Friends found journals filled with poetry, verses about isolation, fading dreams, and the ache of wanting peace. They weren't cries for help, but fragments of truth he couldn't share with the world. Each line was a glimpse into the heart of a man who gave too much of himself to a world that only saw his surface. His passing didn't just mark the end of a life, it exposed the silence that so often follows fame. People began to ask questions they should have asked long ago. How can someone so loved feel so alone? How can the one who brings others joy carry so much hidden sorrow? The answers lie in the unspoken pain of those who feel they must always be strong. He was surrounded by people, yet trapped inside himself. He carried the expectations of millions, the weight of being perfect, and the constant fear of letting others down. That weight, day by day, became unbearable. When the news of his death broke, the world went still. Social media flooded with disbelief, tears, and regret. Fans posted videos of his laughter, his performances, his words, trying to piece together the man they thought they knew. Many admitted they never saw the signs. They remembered his gentle smiles and cheerful interviews, but not the moments when his gaze lingered a little too long or when his laughter faded too quickly. Hindsight became a cruel companion. As days turned into weeks, tributes poured in from every corner of the world. His co-stars spoke of him as a beautiful soul, a quiet strength, and someone too pure for the world he lived in. Those who had once directed him said he brought emotion into every scene, often drawing from places too real to be merely acting. Looking back, some realized that perhaps his performances were never just performances. They were reflections of his pain, expressions of emotions he couldn't share anywhere else. Fans began visiting the places he loved most, quiet cafes, filming locations, even the park he was once photographed in with a book in hand. Flowers and letters covered these spots, messages written in trembling handwriting. "We're sorry we didn't see your pain. You gave us light when you had none left. Rest now, you deserve peace." The outpouring of love was overwhelming, but tragically it came too late. What makes YUMENGLONG's story so heartbreakingly human is how familiar it feels. We all know someone who hides behind a smile, someone who laughs too loudly to silence their thoughts, someone who appears strong because they believe falling apart isn't allowed. Yu's death reminds the world that even the brightest souls can be consumed by the darkness they hide. It is a cruel truth, one that demands we look beyond appearances and learn to see people for who they really are, not who they pretend to be. There's something hauntingly beautiful about the way fans continue to remember him. Every year they share his quotes, his songs, his films, as if keeping him alive through art. They say his smile still brings them comfort, even knowing what it hid. Perhaps that's his lasting gift, the reminder that beauty and pain often coexist, and that even in tragedy, there can be tenderness. YUMENGLONG's journey was both a triumph and a tragedy. He gave his heart to his craft, his soul to his audience, and his life to a world that often takes too much. His story is not just about death. It's about the unseen pain behind the curtain, the cost of silence, and the invisible wounds carried by those who make others happy. He was more than a star. He was a fragile, feeling human being who tried his best to smile through his suffering. And maybe that's why his memory feels so heavy, because we all see a part of ourselves in him, the part that hides our pain to protect others, the part that smiles so no one asks what's wrong. Yu's story reminds us to listen, to notice, to care, because sometimes the person who seems the happiest is the one fighting the hardest battle of all. In the end, YUMENGLONG's legacy will not be defined by his pain, but by the love he gave through it. His smile, though born from struggle, taught millions the power of kindness, even when it hurts. His silence taught us the importance of asking, listening, and holding on to one another before it's too late. There are moments in life that replay in the minds of those left behind. Small, seemingly ordinary fragments that become unbearably meaningful after someone is gone. For YUMENGLONG, those fragments now live in every heartbeat of his fans, in the silence between his songs, in the unfinished laughter that still echoes through old interviews. People now look back at every moment with new eyes, trying to understand the quiet ache that was hiding beneath his calm surface. Those who saw him last remember the same thing, the smile, the same gentle curve of his lips, the same softness in his voice, the same warmth that made everyone feel safe around him. No one knew it was a farewell smile, one that carried both gratitude and exhaustion. In those final days, there was something almost angelic about him, as if part of him had already drifted away, tired of pretending, tired of holding everything in. The entertainment world can be a dazzling dream and a silent cage. For YUMENGLONG, it was both. He had the fame, the fans, the success that many could only wish for, but deep inside he was slowly fading. Every photo shoot, every performance, every public smile became a mask he wore with grace. He didn't want pity. He wanted peace. But peace in his world was a luxury rarely given to those who live under the spotlight. Behind the camera, he often withdrew into stillness. There were quiet pauses where he would look away, his thoughts drifting somewhere unreachable. Some colleagues said he'd sit by himself between takes, staring into the distance, lost in thoughts no one dared to interrupt. They assumed he was just tired. They didn't know that those silences were heavy, filled with invisible weight pressing on his chest. He had become an expert at hiding pain. The public saw a man confident and serene. Yet in private, he was a man questioning his purpose, his worth, his place in a world that loved him for who he appeared to be, not who he really was. Fame magnified his loneliness. The more adored he became, the more distant he felt from the world around him. People cheered for him, but no one truly heard him. Sometimes he wrote late into the night. His handwriting, elegant and steady, covered the pages of notebooks filled with lines like, "I smile so they don't ask what's wrong," and "I give light because I'm afraid of the dark in me." These weren't the words of a man seeking sympathy. They were the words of someone quietly unraveling, documenting the slow erosion of his own strength. There was one night, a close friend recalled, when you sat on a rooftop after filming ended. The city lights shimmered below like a million stars, and he whispered, almost to himself, "It's beautiful, but I feel nothing." That emptiness haunted him, the ache of standing in the middle of everything he once dreamed of, yet feeling nothing but hollow echoes inside. The truth is, Yumenglong was never meant to be just another celebrity. He was a poet, a dreamer, a man whose heart felt too deeply. He absorbed the emotions of the world around him, carrying everyone's sorrow as if it were his own. And perhaps that was his downfall. He gave too much of himself away. He didn't know how to keep a piece of his heart safe from the constant demands of fame. The pressure only grew with time. Every headline, every online comment, every criticism cut deeper than people realized. The more he tried to stay perfect, the more he disappeared within himself. He wanted to be strong for his fans, for his team, for the image everyone expected. But being strong all the time left him broken. There's a story that in his final week he visited a small lake he used to go to as a trainee. It was the place where he once dreamed of everything that eventually came true. He sat there for hours, watching the reflection of the moon ripple on the water. Witnesses said he looked peaceful, almost too peaceful. It said he left behind a small flower at the edge of the lake, a quiet goodbye to the boy who once believed he could carry the world. When he was gone, that lake became a sacred place for fans. They visit it with candles and white flowers, whispering prayers into the wind. Some say when you stand there at sunset, you can almost feel him, a soft warmth, a presence that lingers just beyond sight. His story became more than a tragedy. It became a lesson wrapped in love and loss. Every smile he gave now feels like a message, one that tells the world to look deeper, to be kinder, to understand that not all wounds bleed where eyes can see. His pain became a mirror reflecting the silent struggles of so many others. People began opening up about their own darkness, their own exhaustion, their own hidden pain. In death, Yumenglong did what he had always done in life. He made people feel. There's a certain irony to how the world finally listened after he was gone. The same words he once whispered into songs now echo louder than ever. His music has become a refuge for those who understand that beauty and sadness can coexist. His face, forever smiling in photographs, has become a reminder that the people who make us happiest might be the ones hurting the most. His friends now speak of him not with tears, but with reverence. They remember the way he always checked in on others, even when he was the one falling apart. He had this way of making everyone feel seen, one said. I just wish someone had done the same for him. In the quiet corners of fan pages and memorials, people write messages like prayers. You didn't fail us, Menglong. We failed to see you, and your pain wasn't in vain. You helped us learn to love better. His passing ignited a wave of awareness, pushing others to talk about mental health, to reach out, to listen. It was his final gift to the world, a painful truth wrapped in the gentlest soul. Now, every year on the day he left, the sky seems to dim a little. Fans around the world light candles and share his favorite quote, "Even when I smile, remember, I'm still human." And maybe that's the message he wanted to leave behind. That no matter how strong someone seems, they still need warmth, understanding, and space to be fragile. Yumenglong's story is one of quiet tragedy, but also of immense beauty. He showed us that love, even when hidden beneath pain, can leave a mark that time cannot erase. His life reminds us to look beyond the smile, to see the scars, the battles, and the silent strength it takes to keep going. In the end, the world lost a star, but gained a voice that continues to echo in every heart that refuses to ignore the signs of pain. His smile, though once a mask, is now a legacy. It speaks without words, reminding us to be kind, to listen, and to love without waiting. Because sometimes the brightest souls burn out not because they are weak, but because they've been shining for everyone else for far too long. And Yumenglong, with his scars, his silence, and his eternal smile, will forever be remembered as the man who taught us that behind every glow there might be a wound, and behind every goodbye a love too deep for words.